The story of the boy who lived and lost his parents begins in Hogwarts. In Gotham, where all kinds of criminals come that don't want to earn their money honestly strike fear into people. And after a few thugs mugged the billionaire Bruce Wayne, he decided to become a local vigilante, got a costume from a sex shop, made it bulletproof with some scrap metal, and began to catch the criminals. But since the gangsters don't have their own Facebook group where they would post locations of their next gathering, Bruce has no choice but to hang out in the dirty underground tunnels for the whole day and waiting for some random gangsters to rob someone for
something valuable.
And having billions on his bank account, Bruce still doesn't want to go to a good therapist who would explain to him that there is no point in catching petty thugs in the alleyways, especially since he doesn't even turn them in to the police. And on the next day, they would continue to rob people even more viciously.
I'm caught in a time loop. This is exactly where it all went wrong.
And Bruce doesn't want to hunt down the real mafia that controls the entire city, sells drugs and guns, does money laundering, breaks the lamps and urinates in the streets.
You fat useless sack of fucking Yankee danky doodle shite.
So no wonder that with such tactics of fighting crime over a few years, instead of decreasing the crime rate, Bruce only managed to increase the number of his insane fans and followers. One of which took a nickname Riddler and decided to get rid of all Gotham gangsters at once by annexing the city to the Atlantis territories and turning the citizens into mermaids.
This is gonna be fun.
And before transforming the city to the new Venice, the Riddler decided to advertise himself for getting more views on TikTok and started to decrease the number of Gotham officials who protect mafia. And he chose the corrupt Gotham mayor to be his first victim. But apparently on that evening, the Riddler had left his brain at home because he let the mayor finish watching the news and having a phone call before smashing his head like a watermelon. If the mayor was watching the extended version of Lord of the Rings, which is 12 hours long, the Riddler would have had to wear a dull diaper and wait until morning.
Tick-tock, motherfucker!
And since for the Riddler, the Batman is like BTS for schoolgirls, he started to leave riddles about how to find him at the crime scenes, so that Batman would have to play these dumb games.
And what's in it for him?
I smoke a ton of weed.
And after finding a letter for the Batman near the mayor's body, the updated version of James Gordon immediately calls the recipient, using the most outdated technology ever. Because Bruce, aka using the same teabag 5 times Wayne, cannot buy mobile phones for himself and Gordon, which would make their communication much easier. And even in their mansion, they use the telephone model from the times when Bruce Wayne
Got no fur to keep his balls warm.
and the Gotham police get the Idiots Award. The Batman does their job for them, catching the bad guys, and they still consider him a maniac and the murderer of the mayor.
He's a goddamn vigilante! He could be a suspect!
He's delusional.
Then Batman reads the letter, hoping that it's a date invitation from the Black Widow.
I'll go in.
But instead, he gets an invitation to the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire game.
What does a liar do when he's dead?
What is that?
Puzzle.
Of course.
And having understood nothing, Bruce, aka Lick the Plate after Emil Wayne, goes back to his mansion, but unfortunately not to spend time with the models in a hot tub after a hard-working day.
Surprise!
But to solve the riddle which he captured with a camera built in his eye contact. So Bruce has this kind of space technology, but he doesn't have a simple mobile phone to keep in touch with Gordon.
Greedy shit-eating cunt.
And after grabbing some beer to activate their brains, the guys momentarily solve the cipher.
I know what the symbols we don't have letters for. Use only the letters when he lies still and leave the rest blank.
Yeah.
Which tells that the next clue is in the mayor's car, in which Bruce, aka calling only by WhatsApp using free Wi-Fi, Wayne and Gordon find a USB drive with a video showing the mayor hanging out with some blondie girl in the main mafia's club.
That's the Iceberg Lounge. It's under the Shoreline Lodge where Falcone's hold up.
And since they let into the club only those people who have blood on their hands, Bruce, thinking that he's a menace of the underworld, decided that the security would let a guy in the masquerade costume through.
Get out of here, freak. You hear me? That little suit's gonna get all full of blood.
Batman is lucky that the security consists of
Tweakers, dopers, first-timers.
who get knocked out after just one blow to the heads and open the club to public. And after that, Bruce breaks a couple more gangsters' noses and shows that his armor from scrap metal can endure pistol bullets. And when he almost checked whether his open face can endure a shotgun shell, the owner of the club, the Penguin, interferes into the situation.
I'm Oz.
And while the Penguin was looking at the mayor's pictures and telling that he doesn't know who that blondie girl is, masked Edward is gazing at the waitress. And since Bella is on a business trip where she sucks other men's fingers and doesn't even send him pictures in the underwear, he's got a disease.
Real sick. Bad case of the blues.
And thanks to this disease, he immediately recognizes her legs as the legs from the picture.
When in doubt, follow your dick.
Which gives a result. After staring through binoculars for 2 minutes, because in a 3-hour movie there is no need to hurry, he hits the jackpot, finds out that the blonde girl lives in the waitress's house. But most importantly, he sees a girl in the underwear for the first time in several years. And when he discovers that she likes to wear BDSM costumes just like he does, he immediately followed her to get her number, instead of climbing through the window into the house and questioning the blonde girl.
What you doing? You get a little hard on.
And following Selina brings Bruce to the mayor's house, where the girl cracks the safe in order to get her friend's passport. And when Bruce compliments her talent,
You're pretty good at that.
she takes that as an insult and really thinks that she can beat a guy in armor with her weight of 50 kilos and legs as thin as matches.
Oh, honey, bless your heart.
And after pointlessly jumping around the room for a few minutes, the girl gets a predictable result and uses Jack Sparrow's tactics.
I didn't kill anybody. I'm here for my friend. She's trying to get the hell out of here, and this son of a bitch stole her passport.
Let's go talk to her.
And exactly at this time, the blondie girl was kidnapped by mafia head Falcone because she discovered that he is the godfather of Gotham. And when the blondie girl is a valuable witness, and as Bruce thinks can lead him to the Riddler, he didn't even tell Gordon to put her on the wanted list. What kind of a hero is he after that, if he's too lazy to find a girl who was kidnapped by gangsters?
You fat, useless sack of fucking Yankee danky doodle shite.
And meanwhile, the Riddler has put into the grave yet another corrupt official, and barely managing to force himself to get his fat ass up from the couch, Bruce went to the crime scene to solve another riddle, according to which he's supposed to find some kind of a rat.
Follow the maze until you find the rat. Bring him into the light, and you'll find where I'm at.
The hell is that?
Puzzle.
Of course.
And when the Riddler to meet Batman leaves riddles that can be solved even by Sherlock Holmes under a triple dose of morphine, Bruce Wayne decided to rely on luck. He offers a new iPhone to Selina for wearing the eye contacts with a built-in camera, hoping that he will somehow identify who is the rat among dozens of gangsters.
Not a great plan.
But when Bruce was younger, he spent a lot of time with Potter and got some fumes of Felix Felicis exhaled into his face. So he actually gets lucky, and Selina sits at the table with the district attorney, and he accidentally speaks about the rat and discloses everything to a simple waitress.
There was a rat. We had an informant. We had big-time information on Salvador Maroni.
Fucking hell. That was easy.
And while trace amount of Potter's luck is still in his blood, Bruce pays a visit to the mayor's funeral, trying to find the rat among the guests, only knowing that the rat leaks information to the cops, and not even having a description of the person.
You really are not that guy.
And since the gangsters in this city don't understand that their job requires having security as good as Jason Statham or Dwayne the Concrete Johnson, the Riddler kidnaps the district attorney the night before and forces him to come to the funeral with an explosive necklace and a new letter for Batman. And while Bruce quickly ran home to get his armor, the police idiots didn't even bring the mine-clearing specialist, and were waiting for the situation to be resolved by a person who they consider to be a psycho-vigilante. And when Bruce picks up the phone, the Riddler starts to take a live interview from the attorney.
You came.
How much money would it take to make you spend a night in a cemetery?
10 grand?
Why are you gay?
Could you repeat that?
But the district attorney doesn't know the answer, so he signs himself up for a permanent vacation to heaven, and almost takes Batman with himself, who doesn't know the first rule of mine clearing. When the timer runs out, it's time to
run.
Instead of standing as if he saw Alexander Daddario in front of him. And if before going to work Bruce hadn't smeared his open chin with fireproof gel, then by now even his butler wouldn't be able to identify his corpse. And the police, instead of taking an unconscious man to the hospital, brought him to the station to place him under arrest. And apparently they have been deciding for a few hours whether to take his mask off or not, when they should have done it right after the explosion.
How the fuck did you get this job?
It's good that Gordon the Wizard shows up with a fake assault, and Batman escapes, thanks to the cops not even disarming the criminal while he was unconscious. And after turning his cape into a flying squirrel suit, Bruce says goodbye to the cops.
Well, con, goodbye, bon voyage, f*** off.
But he didn't have enough flying hours, and because of his lack of experience, he opens the parachute at the worst moment, and checks with his head the strength of steel beams in Gotham City. Well, it's good that Felix Felicis in his blood still saved him from getting a head injury. And meanwhile, Alfred solved the riddle from the second victim.
So you are El Rata Elada.
Rata Elada.
What the fuck is this?
Puzzle.
Of course.
And Gordon concludes that the rat is the Penguin.
It's a rat with wings, like a stool pigeon.
A penguin's got wings too.
It's fucking genius.
And after fueling themselves with sandwiches and beer, they organized surveillance of Colin Farrell under 5 layers of makeup. And so that they wouldn't have to wait for 3 months, the very next evening the Penguin decided to get some magic powder straight from Colombia. And there was no doubt that Catwoman wouldn't miss this little party, arresting the drug money as if she was the tax office. That's very lucky that dumb gangsters cannot hear a motorcycle a few meters away. And when Batman comes to say hi to Catwoman, the competition for the most stupid person begins, in which one of Falcon's associates immediately takes the first place, because he was carrying the dead blondie girl in his car's trunk for several days, just not to bring the script of this movie to the dead end.
Are you f***ing kidding me? Who wrote this shit? There's little to no effort here.
Meanwhile, Batman and Catwoman take the second place, because they thought the gangsters wouldn't hear them speaking loudly. And to get the first place in the ranking of the dumbest acts ever, which is currently taken by the Captain Icicle for trying to choke a robot, Bruce, instead of neutralizing the gangsters, gets into his car and starts revving the engine. And while he was showing off his V8 engine, the Penguin skedaddles on his old bucket, and Bruce has to chase him, endangering the Gotham citizens, even though he could have caught the barely walking old man back at the warehouse. And because Mr. Moneybags was showing off his fancy car, the Penguin causes a huge car crash, making a few families spend the next morning at a funeral home. And the Penguin would have escaped if it wasn't for the truck with the ramp, which magically appears in front of Batman in every movie when the situation reaches the point. This is a fucking clusterfuck! And since Bruce forgot to buy Dominic's fireproof gel, the jump through the fire hit his head way too much and damaged his brain, so that when the Penguin denies his involvement in the blondie girl's murder and says that he's not a rat,
That's why you killed the girl.
I didn't kill no girl!
Batman simply believes his words, and he, together with Gordon, didn't even try to extract the information from the Penguin by squeezing his balls. Apparently, they don't know that the criminal would tell any lies, just not to find himself in jail. And when they run out of ideas how to catch the Riddler, Bruce uses his vampire instinct and simply guesses that the rat with wings is a website where they find another riddle.
I grew up from a seed, tough as a weed. But in a mansion, in a slum, I'll never know where I come from. Puzzle.
Of course.
In a mansion in a slum. He's talking about the old orphanage.
So Bruce and Gordon immediately go to the orphanage after releasing the Penguin, who caused a crash with multiple casualties and has been buying drugs, which alone would put him in prison for a long time. But the script of this movie is so lame, as if the writers made it just to get their passports back.
That's just lazy. That's fucking lazy writing.
At the orphanage, they encounter a real magic. For several days, the projector has been playing the same video over and over and wasn't even stolen by some homeless guy and sold on Craigslist.
How's that even possible?
The recording shows Bruce's father, Thomas Wayne, who, as the Riddler thinks, is guilty of some journalist murder in the past, and the Riddler decided to punish Bruce for that.
Sins of the father.
Shall be visited upon the son.
Not again.
Puzzle.
And even though Bruce finally installed a phone in his car and tried to contact Alfred, but he already opened the magic letter an hour ago, which contained a certificate for a free cemetery tour. And no one told Bruce about that, because Bruce, aka take free sugar packs from Starbucks Wayne, doesn't want to buy a fucking mobile phone.
As greedy as a pig.
And Alfred would have been fine if first, the old man hadn't opened the letter which was not meant for him, and second, if Bruce, aka change my underpants once a year Wayne, had hired a security team that would scan every letter for explosives or poison. And since Alfred didn't even get his eyebrows burned and he comes back to consciousness in a few hours, the Riddler didn't even know how to make an adequate bomb. As soon as Bruce, aka keep the lights off to save electricity Wayne, accepted the fact that he doesn't have anyone who would work for food anymore and he would have to hire a housemaid for actual money, the Catwoman arranges a meeting to tell him that while he and Gordon were fucking around, she found her friend's murderer by herself, and after interrogation,
I shot him in the dick!
found out that her friend was killed by Falcone and that he is actually the godfather of Gotham.
Falcone works for you guys. The mayor, DA.
No, we work for him.
And as soon as the girl decided to get blood on her hands, Bruce doesn't allow her to do that.
Cross that line. You'll become just like him. Don't throw your life away.
Words of a vigilante who released the Penguin after he killed multiple civilians and is known to be a drug dealer. Apparently, he's a big fan of Steve Rogers, who also likes to tell fairy tales about avoiding unnecessary casualties.
We don't trade lives, Vision.
After he destroyed several helicarriers and the SHIELD headquarters, burying hundreds of people under the debris, so it's no wonder that Catwoman ignored his advice and went to take her revenge on the mafia leader Falcone, getting access to whom is even easier than jumping over a turnstile in a subway. She tells security that she has information about the blondie girl, and without any further questions, they let her see the mafia leader, where the girl even asks to have a private meeting.
Alone?
And even after that, she is not being searched. Everything is based on trust here. But before taking revenge, Selina forgot to put on her glasses, so she misses a shot from a distance of 2 meters.
You might as well be a stormtrooper.
And the bad situation becomes even worse when Batman decides to become an electrician and turns off electricity in the entire building so that nobody would see him fucking around and cleaning the dirty ceiling corners with himself. And apparently, Bruce used cat piss instead of eye drops because now he can perfectly see in the dark without having any night vision device. And he's approaching the crowd of gunmen so fearlessly as if he knew that no one would be smart enough to shoot his open chin. Then Selina, due to lack of communication between her eyes and her brain, not only still cannot shoot the old man, but also didn't notice him sneaking up on her and knocking her down with a cue. And when she almost becomes a fertilizer for the nearest tree, Bruce comes to help just in time, convinces Selina that she shouldn't kill the bad guy.
Well, even assholes deserve a second chance.
And after that, they turn him into the police. But the Riddler foresaw all of that, so he rented an Airbnb next to the club, and exactly on this evening, he was waiting to see Falcone, and using a sniper rifle, he changes his destination from a prison cell to a grave. And after that, he gives himself up to get a life sentence.
So what's the point?
He's lost his fucking mind.
And when it is obvious that the psychopath is not done yet and gave up intentionally, Bruce goes to his house to search for clues, instead of interrogating him to find out what his plan is. I'm not surprised that Gotham turned into a criminal shithole when the law enforcement consists of Batman and police idiots who didn't have a look into the Riddler's computer while searching his apartment. And the best Gotham detective decides to do this simple thing only after a few hours, after which he realizes that the entire city will have to take a swimming lesson very soon.
Call Gordon. Yeah.
Call Gordon. First, instead of Gordon, he should be calling emergency services. And second, when is he going to buy a goddamn mobile phone? And while some Gotham citizens are turned into fish food, a few thousand of them hide in the theater, which of course was foreseen by the psychopath, and using the power of movie editing, he placed his gunmen around there, who also share his idea that there will be no criminals in the city if there will be no inhabitants there.
That's true.
How killing a few thousand people would solve the crime problem in a city with a population of 10 million will remain a mystery. Why can I not see any logic in this movie?
Because it's not there.
But even this idiot plan goes to the drain when the Dark Knight starts to kick gunmen's asses. And apparently the Riddler hired only blind shooters into his team, because they can't hit Bruce into his chin. And Bruce, being a show-off, seeing that the bad guy is loading his shotgun, instead of running, walks to him slowly and gets hit so hard as if the shooter was Dwayne Cement Johnson.
It's pretty good.
Not bad.
And since it is forbidden to use the parachute for the second time, according to the dumb script of this movie, Bruce decided to just wait for the psychopath to destroy his head. But he is lucky because the Catwoman chose exactly this theater as a hiding place, checked the blueprints of the building, and got all the way up in under a minute, so that Batman wouldn't have to spend the night in a cold morgue. And after Bruce is saved, instead of checking the surroundings, they start to exchange pieces of food stuck between their teeth. And as a result, she gets attacked from behind, while Bruce, who survived an explosion a few days ago, suddenly lost his capacity after being shot once, so he had to use slime injection to restore his powers and save Catwoman. And when the hard part seems to be over, water spoils the happy ending. And all those people apparently didn't know that it's not the best idea to be below the water level, and nobody had enough brains to get to the switch and turn off the electricity. And Bruce saying,
"They can suck my pathetic little dick,"
again becomes an electrician and cuts the cable, without securing himself on his rope, because it's absolutely necessary to show everyone what a hero he is and how he sacrifices himself. It's good that his metal armor made the fall much softer.
you science.
And since the citizens of Gotham are quite stupid and cannot find the way out by themselves, Bruce has to lead them like Moses, with a flare, which doesn't make the visibility any better. But on the other hand,
looks cool.
And now we can see the result of the Riddler's campaign of decreasing the crime rate. Gotham is flooded and can be described as
dirt, rock, shit, and scum.
The crime rate will only increase, but the Riddler got a free accommodation in prison, and together with Joker, they can send love notes to each other.
You're cute together. I like it. Aww.
And since the Catwoman got a good amount of cash, she decided not to waste her best years in Gotham and moved to some tropical island, taking some guy with herself for entertainment.
Why don't you come with me? It'll be fun.
But Bruce only cares about his shithole of a city and wants to continue his pointless job of beating the criminals in the alleys. And because of that, the cheap bastard won't have time not only for changing his old underwear, but also for finally buying a mobile phone.
End of story.
World's greatest detectives!
I'm vengeance.